The basic setup for the RPM system that we use is an anchor plate with a mariner's hitch in the number 1 slot on the anchor plate. We also have an empty slot in number 2. The number 3 slot has an empty carabiner in it where the MPD will be attached. The number 4 slot has the single 2-inch pulley with a set of red and green prusiks. And the number 5 slot has an empty carabiner. When we set this up, we're going to use a very basic anchor system. So the way we're going to do it in this video is we're going to use some webbing, and it's going to be tied with a water knot to make a loop. And with that loop, we can take this and fold it in half 3 times. I'm going to place it through the anchor. I'm going to bring them together, make sure they're even. I'm going to apply the carabiner right through the center of it so that I make sure I capture all parts of the webbing. And I'm going to verify that the carabiner is locked and closed. I'm going to grab my MPD, I'm going to flip it over and rotate the back sheath open. Pay attention to the diagram, load the rope from the outside to the inside, making sure that it follows the diagram and stays inside the sheath as I close it. Flip it back over and attach it to my carabiner in the number 3 position. So I get my tandem prusiks and carabiner and pulley set. I'm going to lay the rope out into a Z pattern. Then I'm going to use a bite in the rope. I'm going to put the pulley in the bite of the rope and attach the carabiner to it. Then I'm going to take my red prusiks. I'm going to put it on the main line going down to my load. Wrap a 3-wrap prusiks is what we always use in rescue. We're going to dress it out and make sure that all of the parts of the prusiks are lined out and straight and even. I'm going to use the green one. We're going to put it on the opposite side of the rope away from the MPD and towards the load. I'm going to attach my carabiner to both prusiks. I want to make sure they're both loaded the same direction and both even. They should look exactly the same. This gives me a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage. When it comes to haul systems, we use the rule of 18s. You take 18 and divide it by the mechanical advantage system that you're using. So in this case, we're using a 3-to-1. So we're going to have a 6-man haul team. Keep in mind that the bigger the mechanical advantage system that you're using, the more rope it's going to eat up. So if we're doing a 100-foot lift, we're probably going to need a 300-foot rope or more to make sure that the system that we're using have some rope left over so we don't run out of rope and have to pass a knot. Okay, we're going to be looking at setting up the rope system for lifting a Stokes basket. We're going to be using a 2-line system. The ropes, main line and a belay. In this case, it's going to be a gold, the main line, the blue line is the belay. Personal preference dictates what kind of knot you tie in here. What's tied here is a double loop inline 8 with a tail, and in this instance these are tied in here and attached to the ring of the bridle of the Stokes basket. The belay line comes down and is attached to the ring, the tail, and is attached to the back of the attendant. The main line comes down and is attached to the ring, and the tail of it is attached to the victim, which is in the Stokes and secured in there to a victim's harness. The climbing system is attached to the center of the ring. You'll attach the top gibs to your waist attachment point, and then also attached to that is the red loops for steps to be able to adjust your height. That is your way to attach to the system, be able to move up and down. The yellow links will be also attached to the patient so that both the victim, the patient, and the rescuer, the attendant, have 3 connections to the system. So we're preparing our system to raise or to haul. We want to ensure that we are all using proper communication and hand signals. When we're using communication, the commands for raising is going to be raise. The commands for lowering is going to be lower, and then stop, set, and reset. These are the only commands that we're going to be using. We want to maintain a uniform language in our communication so that everyone knows when they hear raise, that's what we're going to do. We're going to raise. Okay, this is going to be the haul system. Swap over to a lower. Once we are done raising, we're going to come down, take the pulley and carabiner off of the Prusik. We're going to take the pulley off of the rope on our haul line, disconnect that, and that's your changeover. The changeover is done. Once we remove the pulley from it, we pull the rope back past a 90 degree back towards the anchor. So in this instance, Ponche is going to mind the Prusik for me. As I reach down, grab the brake handle, I'm going to pull up and rotate it to the left to the full open position. And once we've lowered our system all the way down, we're going to lock it off if we're going to be away from it. So in order to show that it's locked off, we're going to rotate the orange indicator on top of the MPD to the locked position. And then we're going to take a bite of the rope and tie it an overhand knot over the working end to indicate that it is locked off and is not in operation. Okay, this one we're going to talk about doing a tandem lower and sharing the load between two different MPDs. So in this setup right here, we have two lines, a gold and a blue, run through two MPDs, and we're going to be lowering the load, in this case a Stokes basket, over the edge of the train tower. We're going to be using a mirrored system, which means that both ropes are going to be sharing the load of the system. The industry is moving away from using a main line and a belay and just doing mirrored systems so that you don't have the possibility of a shock load. One way we minimize that is by using a tandem or mirrored system. So in this case, we're going to both get behind the MPDs, get the ropes set in the proper configuration, and begin the lower together. Try and match the speed of the rope passing through the MPDs and get the load to be shared between both of them, and keeping the load between the two systems as equal as possible and not allowing one to get ahead of the other or have a lot of slack, so that if there's a failure, we don't have a shock load in the system. When we're using these systems, it's a good idea to take an edge protection bag and put it underneath the system that you're using, underneath the MPDs, in order to try and keep them from getting damaged, keep dirt and debris, mud, rocks, and that kind of stuff from getting up inside your MPD and causing a failure or issues or damage to the MPD or the rope, as well as keep an area clear and be able to see what you're doing. If you put something down, be able to find it and not have to do a lot of searching for stuff. We're going to lock it, tie it off, and commence with our operations.